Hello and welcome to the Past Functional Skills video solutions for the NCFE Functional Skills English Level 2 Reading Sample Paper 3. Before watching this video, please make sure that you've read the 3 documents and you've attempted to complete the paper yourself. Question 1. The main purpose of document 1 is to A. Recommend the most challenging treks, B. Outline various trek itineraries, C. Persuade readers to complete a trek with charity expeditions, or D. Instruct readers on how to trek safely at height. So in this question, we need to look at document 1 and identify the main purpose. Now the main purpose of a text is the main aim of the writer. Why have they written the text? What are they trying to communicate to the reader? So all of these options are purposes of the document to some extent. So it does recommend some of the most challenging treks. It's telling us to choose our challenge and then giving us a few recommendations of treks that we could do. We're also being persuaded to complete a trek with charity expeditions because we've got persuasive language such as inspirational to describe the challenges. Are we being instructed on how to trek safely at height? Well, we've got different heights that have been mentioned here, but we're not really told how to trek safely at height here, other than we're told that you have to be very fit to do so. So these are all somewhat relevant to the document. However, the main purpose of the document is to outline various trek itineraries. How do we know this? Well, we know that each trek itinerary is being outlined. So an itinerary, if you didn't know, you could have a look in your dictionary and see that the definition of an itinerary is sort of a log of activities in order. So we're being told that you start in the foothills for this one, and then you trek to the Great Rift Valley, and then you go to some other foothills, and you've got some guides with you. And we've also got climbing a volcano, that's another activity that we do there, and seeing some remote settlements as well. So it's describing each of the treks, explaining what happens on each one. So overall, the main purpose is to outline various trek itineraries. Question 2. Which 2 of the 3 treks offer additional activities? Detail one of these activities. So here we have to look at the 3 treks and see which ones offer additional activities, and then we need to detail just one of these activities. So which ones have additional activities? Well, we have Trek 2, Avenue of the Volcanoes, and there is an option here to climb to the summit of Mount Cotopaxi. So that is an optional additional activity that you can do. And another option that you can choose for this question is option 1, the African Bush Trek, because in this one you have the option to do a game drive, or you can carry on to your hotel to relax. So there are additional activities that have been mentioned there. So this student has identified Avenue of the Volcanoes, and you can climb to the summit of Mount Cotopaxi. Question 3. According to document 1, which trek is the most physically challenging? How do you know this? Give evidence from the document. So in this question, we have to look at document 1 and decide which of the 3 treks is the most physically challenging. Which one is the most difficult to do in terms of physicality. And then we have to explain how we know this using evidence from the document. So using a quote from the document or using textual devices that we can see in the document. So which one is the most demanding? Well, we can see that these chevrons here are indicating how difficult each trek is. So that one's sort of medium, this one is very difficult, and this one is rather easy. And if we didn't know this based on these icons here, we could have a read of each paragraph and see that this one's a starter trek, so it's easy. This one is a demanding challenge, so it is difficult. So the answer here, which trek is the most physically challenging? We can see that it's Trek 2, Avenue of the Volcanoes. And this is because the challenge is demanding. So that's evidence from the document there. And the image shows the highest number of chevrons. So this indicates that it's the most challenging. So we've identified the correct trek there and given a suitable explanation. Question 4. One of the members of your trekking group suffers from severe altitude sickness over 2,500 metres. According to document 1, which trek would be most suitable for them? So in this question, we've got a friend suffering from sickness over 2,500 metres, and we have to look in document 1 to find which trek would be most suitable for them. So we need to see how tall how high each of the treks are. So we're going to be looking for numbers here in each of the treks. We're going to be looking for how tall they are. So in this one, we've got heights going from 2,590 metres to 3,000 metres. And our friend suffers from altitude sickness, anything over 2,500. Is this over 2,500? Well, yes, it is. So that would not be suitable for the friend. Trek 2 goes up to 5,000 metres and even above this, so that wouldn't be suitable either. So we are left with the third trek, which is just under 2,000 metres. 2,000 is less than 2,500, so the answer here is Trek 3. Question 5. Identify 3 presentational features within document 1 and say for each one what they help to convey. So in this question we want to find 3 presentational features, and we want to be finding these in document 1, and then we need to say what they help to convey. So what this means is that we need to find 3 parts of the text that are presentational features. So presentational features, also known as organisational features, include things like photos, they include subheadings, headings, paragraphs, anything to do with how the text is presented, how it's laid out. And then we need to say what these things help to convey. So what is the effect of using each one? So the students identified photos in document 1. We can see that there are photos used. And we've also got some subheadings in here for each trek. And we've got a numbered list that tells us about the 3 treks. We've also got things like icons. We've got paragraphs. So a range of presentational features there. So the students identified photos and then explained what these help to convey. They've said that they show what the surroundings will look like on the treks. We've got headings, and these signpost the reader to the different treks available. And then symbols, like chevrons, which help the reader to see how physically demanding the different treks are. So we've got to use the context of the source here to see what these different features are helping the reader to understand. Question 6. The main purpose of document 2 is to A. Convince readers to fundraise, B. Change readers' fundraising methods, C. Analyse various fundraising methods, or D. Inform readers how to fundraise successfully. So we need to identify the main purpose, so why the author has written the text. What aims are they trying to achieve? So we'll start with the first one, A. Do they want to convince readers to fundraise? Well, no, it's not really giving any reasons why you should fundraise. So that's incorrect. B. Change readers' fundraising methods. Well, it doesn't really suggest that they should change what they're already doing. It's just offering them suggestions about what they should do. So ask as many people as you can, plan a target group, tell everyone what you're up to. It's just giving suggestions, not saying what you're doing is wrong and you need to change it. So that's incorrect. C. Analyse various fundraising methods. Well, there's not really an analysis of the fundraising methods here. They're not analysed, they're not explained, they're just presented to the reader. So tell everyone what you're up to. There's a little bit of an explanation here saying word of mouth is the best form of advertising, but it doesn't really explain that in detail. So it's not really analysing the various fundraising methods here. D. Inform readers how to fundraise successfully. Well, it's definitely doing that. It's giving lots of commands, telling them that they should ask as many people as possible, plan a target group. It's giving them information and advice on how to fundraise successfully. Question 7. According to document 2, identify 2 groups of people you could approach for sponsorship. So we need to look in document 2 and find 2 groups of people that we could approach for sponsorship. So we'll scan the text for any mentions of sponsorship and then identify the 2 groups of people from the text. So sponsorship, raising money, these are the kinds of keywords that we want to look for. Sponsor, support, donate. Okay, so if we scan through, we can see in the first sentence, ask as many people as you can, because it's often those you least expect to support you who will surprise you with some cash. So we've got the word support there, that's telling us, and surprise you with some cash. These words and phrases are telling us that these people are going to sponsor us. And the target groups are friends, family, and workmates. So you could choose 2 of these 3 options, and the students identified friends and workmates as the target groups, the 2 groups of people that you could approach for sponsorship. Question 8. Summarise how document 2 advises the reader on advertising their challenge. So what's this question asking us to do? Well, summarise means that we need to look at the text and write what the overall meaning is in our own words. And we're going to focus on document 2, and we've got to summarise how the document is advising the reader on advertising their challenge. So we're going to focus on advertising here. So providing a summary of how they're supposed to advertise. Well, it says ask as many people as you can. It says tell everyone what you're up to. You could even get in touch with local papers, radio and TV stations. So summarising this information, the student has written that the reader is advised to speak to as many people as possible and to get in touch with local media in order to advertise their challenge. So that is a good summary of the information in the text. Question 9. How would you describe the style of document 2? Give an example from the document. So here we need to look at document 2 and identify the style of the text, using an example from the document to support the style that we choose. Now, the style of a text is sort of the way that it's written. and that can include, it can be an instructive text, it can be an informative text, it can be a persuasive text written in a persuasive style. So the style of document 2 is instructive, and the student has explained that the bullet points use imperative verbs. So these are some textual features identified here. Bullet points are organisational features, presentational, and imperative verbs, that's a language feature, such as give, explain, and provide. So these are examples from the document. So we know that document 2 is instructive. It's telling us what to do. We've got these imperative verbs that I mentioned throughout the document: think, explain, give, and the bullet points explain this too. We've got give reasons, and it gives you sort of advice on what you should do. So it is instructive. Question 10. According to document 2, what is the most important point to consider when approaching local businesses to sponsor your trek? So here we need to look at document 2 and scan the text for the most important point to consider when we're approaching local businesses to sponsor the trek. So we're looking for mentions of any local businesses in the document here. And then we need to identify which phrase from the document that's telling us this. So we want to use a quotation. So in the text, we can scan for any mentions of businesses or companies sponsoring us. And at the bottom here, we've got this subheading, company sponsorship. So you can always use subheadings to help you navigate the text. So company sponsorship. Before going to a company, above all, think what you can offer them. So here is our answer. Above all, that is the most important because of this phrase here. Think what you can offer them. So the most important point is to think about what you can offer the companies. And which phrase from the document tells you this? Well, it's indicated by the phrase above all, which means above all means that it's the most important. Question 11. The main purpose of document 3 is to A. Respond to common reader queries, B. Encourage readers to increase their fitness levels, C. Answer readers' questions about accommodation, or D. Persuade readers to use charity expeditions. So here we need to be looking at document 3 and we need to find the main purpose of the text. So what are the aims of the writer? Why have they written this text? Is it to respond to common reader queries? Well, yes, it is. We know this because these are FAQs, that means frequently asked questions, and we see the questions here on the document. So we're responding to reader queries, that means questions. If you didn't know the meaning of that word, just have a look in your dictionary. B, encourage readers to increase their fitness levels. Well, it does talk about fitness levels, says how fit you need to be, but it's not really encouraging you to increase your fitness levels. There's no sense of increasing or making yourself fitter at all. It's just saying that you will need to be fit in order to go on these treks. So that's incorrect. C, answer readers' questions about accommodation. Well, the text does do this. It says, where will I stay? But that is not the purpose of the whole text. The whole text is to answer lots of different questions, to address common reader queries. And finally D, to persuade readers to use charity expeditions. Well, this might persuade a reader to use the charity expeditions, but mainly we are just focusing on these questions here. We are trying to find out information, so the document is responding to these queries. Question 12. From the following extract in document 3, explain in your own words what the writer means by a flexible approach to adventure travel. And the extract is, you will need to be fit, should have an active sense of adventure, be willing to muck in, and have a positive and flexible approach to adventure travel. So here we need to look at the extract from document 3, which is here, and we need to explain, so we need to give reasons in your own words, what the writer means by a flexible approach to nature travel. So we're looking for the meaning of the word flexible here in this extract. So we could look up flexible in a dictionary, and we would see that it can mean bendy or easily bent, or it can mean able to modify or adapt. So bendy really wouldn't fit in with this quotation. A bendy approach to adventure travel doesn't make sense, but ability to adapt really does. An adaptable approach, a modifiable approach to adventure travel does make sense. So flexible here means adapting to challenges or changes that happen. Question 13. Select 2 phrases from document 3 where charity expeditions are showing company bias. So in this question, we're looking at document 3 and we want to find 2 phrases from the text, so 2 quotations, that show charity expeditions showing company bias. Now, bias means being strongly in favour of something or strongly against something, having a strong opinion that's usually based on someone's circumstances. So we're looking here for bias that is to do with the company. Strong company bias would mean that they prefer this company over all of the others. So if we scan the text for any mentions of this company being better than other ones, we will find that charity expeditions over other companies has lots to offer you. So it's over other companies, it's better, it offers you more. So that's an example of company bias there. And the second one, we have unlike our competitors. Now, this phrase suggests that they're better than their competitors. They actively encourage mature participants. So they're more inclusive, they're encouraging more people, older people, to join. So here the student has identified 2 phrases that are showing this company bias. Question 14. A new member of your trekking group is very shy and finds it difficult to interact closely with other members. He's asked you if you think that the charity treks would be suitable for him. Using information for document 3, how might you answer his question and why? So we've got a very shy person who finds it difficult to interact closely with other people. So doesn't like interaction. And he's asked you if you think these charity treks would be suitable for him. So we want to use information from the document, so that means we have to use evidence from the document to answer the question, and we need to justify why the trek is suitable for him or unsuitable for him. So, would this trek be suitable for a shy person? Well, it definitely wouldn't be. It says here that you need to be willing to muck in, and that phrase there, muck in, suggests that you need to work as part of a team. And it also says that you will share with one person in an eco-lodge, a hotel. So you need to spend time around other people. If you're shy, then it probably wouldn't be suitable. So the treks would be unsuitable for him as they involve working as a team, being around other people. Question 15. What does document 3 imply about the conditions in some of the countries you could visit? Give an example from the document that expresses this. So here we're looking at document 3 and we want to find what it implies about the conditions in some of the countries you could visit. So the conditions, we're looking at the kind of accommodation here, just generally what the countries are like. and we need to give an example from the document. So that usually means that we need to provide a quote or evidence from the document in some way. So the student's written that it implies that the conditions could be very basic, and they've used a quote to support this, an example from the document. They've said facilities can be less than sophisticated. So if they're less than sophisticated, they are very basic conditions. So if we have a look at the document, it does say that the facilities can be less than sophisticated, so the quote has been copied correctly. And it also explains that you won't be in 5-star luxury, and that also suggests that the accommodation could be quite basic. So you could use either quotation to support that point there. Question 16. A member of your trekking group is a senior citizen and is worried about being accepted for a charity expeditions trek. What piece of advice would you give her from the information you have read in document 3? So here we've got a senior citizen, someone elderly person, and they are worried about being accepted. So they think that they might not be able to go on one of these treks. Now we need to give them advice based on the information from the document. So would this trek be suitable for a senior citizen? And we need to find a piece of advice that we would give. So we've got to look for anything to do with age here. So it says here that we encourage mature participants. It gives examples of these old men that have completed the task, 75-year-old man and a 72-year-old man. So it's definitely suitable for anyone. You just need a certain level of fitness to participate. Your age doesn't matter. So you would advise this person that people of all ages can go on the treks, so long as they are fit enough. Question 17. A friend is thinking of doing a fundraising trek. Give one piece of advice from each document. So we need a piece of advice about doing a fundraising trek from each document. So all 3 documents, document 1, document 2, and document 3. So, piece of advice, we're looking for tips, we're looking for useful information that someone doing a fundraising trek would need to know. So here the student's written that Trek 2 Avenue of the Volcanoes is intended for those of the group who are very fit. So they've used quotes here to say that one piece of advice is you need to be very fit to do a fundraising trek. 2, word of mouth is the best form of advertising for fundraising treks. Again, we've used a quote here to give a piece of advice. And finally, the more prepared you are, the more you will enjoy the challenge of going on a fundraising trek. That's another good piece of advice, and all of these are specifically about doing a fundraising trek.